Thank you, Nabaran. Thank you very much. It's really an interesting presentation about the transformation happening in the business and how the digital technologies are becoming an imperative. And also, you're very happy that you also touched upon how the quality, the function itself is changing and how it has to become agile and adapt itself to the changing needs. Thank you very much. I'm quite sure there'll be a lot of questions towards the end, but we will wait for that if possible. I'm not sure whether you have the time. We'll move on to the third speaker. This is, we like to introduce Mr. David Mudd, Global Digital and Connected Product Certification Director at the British Standard Institution. And David is responsible for digital connected products and ranging from in construction, smart cities, building information, modeling, general connected products such as Internet of Things, devices, and software applications, to cybersecurity certifications and such as Cyber Essentials in the UK. He supports BSI clients across the key sectors of built environment, healthcare, food, automotive, aerospace, and effective adoption of disruptive digital technologies. A respected global thought leader on digital technologies and transformation, David also works directly with governments and key businesses around the world, helping them shape best practices and strategy covering IoT, next generation communications, artificial intelligence, distributed ledger systems like blockchain, and other emergent technologies. Originally training as an electronics engineer with the British Broadcasting Company, David then served as an engineering officer in the Royal Air Force. Subsequently, David has managed development of a major security IT system for the UK Ministry of Defence and managed development of telecommunication laser systems, sales of capital equipment of microelectronics manufacturing. David has then directed sales and provided consultancy for a lighting and general IoT business before joining the BSI in 2017. Over to you, David.
Thank you very much for the excellent introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. In the interest of time, as it looks like we are running a little behind here, I'm going to jump straight in. Hopefully you can see my slides.
Yep, you can.
Great. So everybody, today I'm going to be focusing on one impact of digital technologies that has impacted us all as individuals, as quality professionals, and as businesses around cybersecurity. I'm going to have to zoom in the interest of time, just on one or two particular aspects here. But very firstly, very briefly, a couple of words on BSI. So BSI, we're speaking to you here in India. Well, the majority of our clients and the majority of our own people are outside of the UK. So I'm talking to you very much from a global perspective. What do we actually do? We shape standards, we provide assurance, and we deliver consultancy across a wide range of topics across all industries. Around digital transformation, from software trustworthiness to artificial intelligence, as you heard, and in particular around cybersecurity, we deliver a wide range of services all around shaping, sharing, and supporting best practice. But enough of us, on to today's issue. So how has the global pandemic impacted our digital lives? We've already heard that despite the immense hardship and tragedy that COVID has brought, there has been a real positive side. And we see here from some of the large consultancies how technology has massively accelerated as a result of this pandemic, and some of the very interesting case studies we've seen there already. And coming back to the world of quality, we've seen within BSI how delivering quality assurance has also changed. The massive increase we've had in use of immersive technologies to deliver audits that are now far more effective, safer, more flexible and agile. And that's all directly as a result of the transformation. But, there's the but here, with everything that's a development for good, there always tends to be a development for bad as well. And this is the bit I want to focus on today. So if we look at how the cybersecurity threat has evolved, there are just as many articles in the news here, and I could list 100 more that talk around data breaches, the wider range of cybersecurity challenges, in particular, ransomware, and the general rise of cybersecurity attacks that have mirrored the rise in adoption. Two key risk areas here. One tends to be around cyber hygiene, and this particular slide affects us all, once again, as individuals, as quality managers, and as businesses. Cyber hygiene And we've seen how companies like Infosys can massively help bring in digital transformation. And there are, of course, technical aspects and building blocks of cybersecurity, such as firewalls and encryption and certain levels of access control you can bring in. But the need for personal, organizational cyber hygiene around password management, phishing, and social engineering, that has become a massive accelerated area. And likewise, we've seen a massive acceleration in the adoption of connected devices, Internet of Things, smart homes, smart cities, and things like, as we've seen, smart banking, digital banking as well. So just within these two areas, what we've also seen is a massive peak of adoption, and then a massive surge in attacks. And then subsequently to that, a massive step forward again, upgrading how we all behave as individuals and as businesses online. And again, a reaction straight away from the bad actors here. Around cybersecurity, it's a war. Let's be open about this. It's a war. There is attack, defense, attack, defense. This is an ongoing challenge, not a one shot, okay, I've sorted cyber hygiene or I've sorted connected devices now. I'm going to zoom in a bit on connected devices and IoT because there are some specific issues around this that I think are very, very relevant from a quality perspective, from a business perspective. First issue we see around IoT security is still some level of denial that there is really a problem. Despite all the evidence that actual attacks on IoT devices are escalating, we still tend to see a lot of organizations say things like, well, we're just providing some small little connected widget. No one's going to attack that. Or we've got military grade encryption and we use Azure or AWS as cloud, so we're safe, aren't we? If you connect a device to the internet, it will be attacked. All that fantastic technology and machine learning and all the automation we've talked about that can be used for good can be used for bad. And there are tools out there now searching for IoT devices to actually get in there and use that as an attack vector against your home, against your personal life online, and against your business. So what is it about IoT that's special? Your general ICT, your phone, tablet, laptop, you've got a long history of security, and the budget in terms of space, power, memory, bandwidth, all of that is there to manage it. For IoT, we've heard connected devices, it's not just software, it's also the devices as well. It's the new alchemy, and everyone wants a piece of that gold. So there's a huge, huge pressure to get products out there, to start delivering these new amazing services that we're hearing about. And security doesn't necessarily register as the first point here. And if you don't consider security by design, then when you start to look at security, it's all too late and you don't have the physical space, the processor power, the memory, the communications capacity, the battery life, or the financial budget to implement it. And a big point from the quality perspective is around supply chain. Many IoT manufacturers are the T, not the I. They're manufacturers of things who are bringing connectivity in there with a huge dependency on their supply chain and very important quality considerations when it comes to managing security, as I'll come on to. That threat landscape is evolving in another way here, with many more of us, and me included, working from home. Here I am sitting here in my house, and one of the great benefits really of the digitization is I'm able to work and collaborate with you today, sitting here with my own home, with my own connected world around me. And therefore, consumer IoT, the IoT within our own home, starts to encroach on business as well. As we're seeing here, consumer IoT now also becomes a bit of a business problem. And that new perimeter is no longer the bricks and mortar around your factory or your office. It extends right out, as was said at the introduction to this session. There are no boundaries. There are no boundaries geographically, technologically, or even between our homes and our businesses. This is a slide I've used for quite a few years, but it's important in this context. 3 areas around connected devices that are important. Obviously, loss of control at an individual level, hacking into your home, into your bank account, loss of data through theft or ransom, and this distributed denial of service. And the graphic I use here goes back to the Mirai botnet from 2016, where many thousands of vulnerable IoT devices, which are ironically security cameras, were hacked by automation, uploaded with malware, and then used as an attack vector for a bad actor to take out their competitor's server by blasting it with information. And nobody who had one of those cameras ever knew they were even hacked. If we come on now, from 2016 to 2021, that same Mirai botnet vector is happening again. The IoT realm remains an easily accessible target. And as we've just seen how IoT is now prevalent across so many areas, exploitation of those attacks could be catastrophic. So what's actually happening about this? Well, in the UK, just this week, there was a new act going before Parliament to actually regulate on IoT. And what you see in front of you here are 13 principles that are now embodied in a European standard around IoT devices. And those first three in the centre, no default passwords, having a vulnerability disclosure policy, and having a clear statement on how long you provide software updates, will be law very shortly in the UK. Every single IoT device that's put on sale to a consumer in the UK will have to comply. But you can see that's only the start of it. That doesn't cover things like secure comms, secure storage of data, but at least it's a start, and that relatively easy to follow best practices out there. Bring it right up to this week. So in the UK, hit the national media this week, Sky, one of the biggest providers of broadband in the UK, have been exposed as providing millions of broadband routers to people's homes with a fundamental vulnerability. And the quote here was, would affect anyone who had not changed the router's default admin password. So once again, you've got products being shipped out with default passwords on it, and that had been known about for a year and nothing had been done. I don't know how many of you actually change your internet-facing default password for your router. Nothing to do with the Wi-Fi side, but the other side. And this kind of vulnerability is there in devices, in our homes, and potentially in our offices and businesses as well. And that's what this new regulation is looking to stop. But a key point is how this came to light. It actually came to light through a security researcher, and they highlighted this to the manufacturer, who then took a year to actually respond. And now it hits the national media. So it's not just around having security controls in place, it's also having processes in place to actually make sure that when vulnerabilities do arise, you are able to deal with it effectively. An ethical hacker like this can cause just as much damage as a criminal hack if your organization doesn't have the processes and the procedures in place in order to manage these things. And it's such an important point that we've learned that security is not just about building a wall. It's about having processes to know that wall is never going to work in every single case. How do we manage it when things go wrong? Best practice security by design. Look at those front three and just think of that, whether you're individuals about default passwords at home, from a quality management perspective and from a business perspective, this is what best practice looks like, and it has to be embedded by design. Therefore, there have to be processes in place, procedures in place that are auditable, that says this is how that product gets to market. Security is a priority. Within BSI, we're looking at a wide range of things. We've already heard today about banking and how that's been transformed. And our mark of trust, the Kite mark, is used by banks such as Barclays to give trust then to the use of the online applications, through to consumer electronics in the home, security products, big brand names all coming to us for that independent mark of trust. Why is it? What is it that BSI is doing? And it's a very, very important point that's been raised here around quality. We test products in the lab. I've got a bunch of very, very skilled hackers that sit there and can break into anything. But that won't tell you the whole story. A key part of what we do when we're assessing whether a product is secure is assessing the organization that puts that product on the market. What are their processes, procedures, and best practice for managing engineering change, patch management, supply chain control? They're the T, not the I. The technology is coming in from a wide range of suppliers. How is that managed? How is support managed effectively when things go wrong? So quality, building trust around connected products. This is a key role that the whole quality profession can play here, because this is a lot more than just guys in hoodies trying to hack things in the lab. The last point really here, if you are concerned about IoT security, we've got offices right the way across India, so do get in touch. But that's just a little bit of insight, focusing on one particular issue here. I've got loads more really to join in with the panel on the other issues around healthcare in particular, which is a key area for us. But hopefully that's been of interest to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. I think for bringing in the importance of the real dangers, the security, the cyber around cyber security, the imminent danger that anyone having a connected device could be a victim, and the need for building trust with good process, good design, and good product standards. And you mentioned about the standards coming up in the UK. Maybe that's a topic for us which we'll have to think about by means of regulation here in India as well. MSS, it looks like we are out of time. I do not know how to handle the question and answer session. Do we have any questions, or how do
we are already behind by 5 minutes. So if there are any questions that are coming to us, we will share it with the panelists at a main.
Would you make sure that you share it with the panelists and make sure that the people who are asking the questions get their responses from
Sure.
Make sure of that. I would like only to thank Nick, Nabarun, and David for their wonderful presentation, giving a scope. We have touched upon diverse areas, but I think we've been able to see how the quality technologies are pervading anything and everything around us, and how the things are getting connected and digitally smart, and that equally when the digital technologies are advancing, the bad actors are also putting up their game. So thank you very much indeed, and thanks a lot to each one of you. Thanks for joining us. I'm sorry that we always seem to be running out of time. I'm sorry about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman and the panelists. Now it's time.